The mayoral candidate being challenged. The saga surrounding embattled South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard continues.
The mayoral candidate will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany.
The political drama in Thornton Township, Illinois, rivals the juiciest celebrity scandals, with stakes that could upend the community. At the eye of the storm is Tiffany Henyard, the controversial supervisor whose tenure has been marked by lawsuits, allegations of financial mismanagement, and eyebrow-raising decisions that seem more suited to reality TV than public service. Henyard, also known as the self-proclaimed super mayor of Dolton, has sparked outrage by canceling 5 consecutive township meetings, citing a lack of quorum, and hinting at the unthinkable, shutting down the entire township government. If carried out, this move could devastate vital programs like senior assistance, after-school activities, and other critical social services that thousands of residents depend on. Moreover, over 100 jobs could be lost, exacerbating the crisis. What began as political turmoil has escalated into a potential humanitarian disaster, leaving residents in fear and uncertainty. With accusations of personal vendettas and power plays overshadowing public welfare, the community is bracing for the fallout of Henyard's controversial leadership. Whether this saga ends in her downfall or resolution, one thing is certain. Thornton Township is facing one of the most chaotic and consequential political crises in Illinois history, with effects likely to reverberate for years.
Henyard was not at the hearing here today. Neither was her attorney. She was not made available.
Thornton Township is engulfed in a fierce political clash, with accusations of sabotage, financial mismanagement, and personal vendettas intensifying the crisis. At the heart of the turmoil are the township trustees, who are challenging Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's appointments, citing concerns over her alleged financial improprieties. Henyard, already under FBI investigation, is accused of using her position to install allies who might shield her from accountability, deepening residents' anxieties about the township's leadership. The trustees insist their actions are not mere political maneuvering, but an effort to ensure transparency and integrity in township operations. Henyard, known for her confrontational approach, has fired back, accusing the trustees of sabotaging her administration, including undermining a holiday toy giveaway intended to support the community. This bitter conflict has placed the township's essential services in jeopardy, including senior assistance programs and after-school activities that many residents depend on. While Henyard's supporters criticize the trustees for neglecting their duties and abandoning vulnerable residents, the trustees argue they are fulfilling their responsibility to hold her accountable. With both sides firmly entrenched, the escalating political infighting threatens to paralyze the township, leaving residents caught in the crossfire and vital services hanging in the balance. Whether a resolution can be reached or the crisis will deepen remains uncertain, but the stakes for Thornton Township have never been higher. The reversal of
Behind me, the doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed for how long? Neither residents nor employees.
Political tensions in Thornton Township, Illinois, are reaching a fever pitch, with embattled Supervisor Tiffany Henyard at the center of escalating controversy. What began as a battle for political control has spiraled into a high-stakes struggle over the integrity of the election process and the township's future. Henyard, already under scrutiny from an ongoing FBI investigation, has accused her opponents of blocking her supporters from a recent caucus meeting while giving preferential access to their own backers. This alleged misconduct has intensified debates about transparency and fairness in the local political system. Henyard is also fighting to have her name reinstated on the ballot after losing a critical Democratic caucus vote, a blow that complicates her efforts to retain power. Meanwhile, her allies have managed to remove some of her opponents from the ballot, a move critics describe as politically manipulative and damaging to the process's credibility. The FBI investigation further clouds Henyard's leadership, probing not only her personal finances, but also the financial dealings of her boyfriend, his family, and her defunct burger business. Public outrage is mounting, with social media platforms like YouTube becoming battlegrounds for divided opinions. While some accuse Henyard of abusing her authority, Others argue she is the target of political-motivated attacks. Allegations of financial mismanagement add fuel to the fire, with reports of extravagant taxpayer-funded trips, dubious Amazon purchases, and a concerning general fund deficit. As the drama deepens, Henyard's leadership and the township's stability remain in jeopardy, leaving residents and political observers anxiously awaiting the next chapter in this unfolding saga. Tiffany Henyard's leadership in Thornton Township is under intense scrutiny, with allegations of reckless spending and financial mismanagement raising concerns about the misuse of taxpayer funds, money that could have supported critical community services. Reports of a significant deficit have sparked fears about the township's financial health, and whether Henyard has neglected the very residents she pledged to serve. Henyard, however, insists these accusations are politically motivated, claiming they are part of a broader effort to discredit her and remove her from office. Despite her defense, public skepticism is growing, with many demanding accountability. Social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter have become arenas for heated debates, further polarizing the community. Calls for Henyard's resignation are mounting, with critics accusing her of creating chaos during her tenure. One pointed comment captured the frustration of many: she needs to grow up and step down. Yet Henyard remains defiant, portraying herself as a misunderstood leader fighting against a corrupt system determined to undermine her. This narrative resonates with some, who see her as a warrior standing against entrenched power, while others view her as a reckless politician who has betrayed public trust. The emotional divide has spilled beyond social media into the streets of Thornton Township, where whispers of political unrest are growing louder. As tensions escalate, the community braces for the fallout of this unprecedented conflict. Comment sections across platforms are filled with passionate, often angry debates, reflecting the deep fractures Henyard's leadership has exposed. Whether she can weather these allegations or the pressure will force her hand remains to be seen, but the stakes for Thornton Township have never been higher. Thornton Township is at a crossroads as the political turmoil surrounding Supervisor Tiffany Henyard escalates, threatening to reshape the community for years to come. A poignant comment captures the sentiment of many residents: "We need someone who will work for the people, not for themselves." This encapsulates the growing frustration with Henyard, whose leadership is now overshadowed by accusations of financial mismanagement, lavish spending, and a mounting budget deficit. The stakes in this battle have never been higher, with the township's future hanging in the balance. Adding to the tension is an ongoing FBI investigation that has broadened its scope to include Henyard's personal finances, her now-defunct burger business, and the financial dealings of her boyfriend and his family. While Henyard continues to dismiss these probes as politically motivated attacks, public patience is wearing thin. Trust in her leadership is at an all-time low, with many questioning whether taxpayer resources have been squandered during her tenure. Calls for transparency and accountability are growing louder, with residents demanding a full investigation into her financial dealings and decision-making. Meanwhile, Henyard's legal battles persist. She is challenging the results of the Democratic caucus vote in court, while the broader investigation into potential abuses of power looms over her administration. As these challenges mount, the township remains deeply divided, with passionate debates over Henyard's actions dominating both social media and community discussions. With each passing day, the situation becomes more volatile, and it is unclear whether Henyard can survive this political storm or if her leadership will end in disgrace. One thing is certain: the outcome of this conflict will have long-lasting consequences, leaving Thornton Township at a critical juncture in its history. Thornton Township teeters on the edge of crisis, with the specter of a government shutdown threatening to disrupt essential services that many residents rely on daily. Programs for senior assistance, after-school activities for children, and other vital community initiatives hang in the balance, leaving the township's most vulnerable populations at significant risk. Supervisor Tiffany Henyard insists she is working to serve the people, but the reality is a political powder keg. The community is sharply divided. Some see her as a champion of the public, while others view her as a reckless leader who has misused her authority. This emotional divide is evident both online and in the streets of Thornton Township, where tensions are becoming increasingly visible. A comment on social media encapsulates the growing frustration: "We need someone who will work for the people, not themselves. As the political gridlock deepens, the stakes have risen exponentially, threatening to reshape the township's future. At the heart of the turmoil is Henyard, whose leadership has drawn widespread criticism amid accusations of power abuse, financial mismanagement, and political manipulation. These claims have intensified an already volatile situation, turning what began as a political struggle into a high-stakes battle for transparency, integrity, and the future of critical community services. Whether Henyard can weather this storm and prove her critics wrong, or if her leadership will come to an end in disgrace, remains uncertain. What is clear is that Thornton Township is at a crossroads leadership. The fallout from this conflict could have far-reaching consequences, leaving the community bracing for what lies ahead. Tiffany Henyard faces mounting criticism over allegations of misusing taxpayer money, with reports of extravagant taxpayer-funded trips, questionable Amazon purchases, and a significant general fund deficit, painting her as a reckless spender. Critics argue her actions prioritize personal interests over the community's needs, particularly as essential services like senior assistance programs and after-school activities for children are at risk. These accusations raise serious concerns about fiscal responsibility and suggest a disregard for the vulnerable residents who rely on these programs daily. In her defense, Henyard claims the allegations are politically motivated, part of a larger conspiracy to discredit her leadership and remove her from power. She accuses her opponents of twisting her actions to serve their agenda. However, these defenses have done little to ease public skepticism. Instead, her claims of being a victim of political attacks have further divided the community and derailed activists who claim to be advocates for change and finding peace rather than avoiding betrayal, evil, and deceit. End quote. Like Facebook and Twitter have become battlegrounds for the controversy. While some residents view Henyard as a leader fighting against a corrupt system, others see her as an irresponsible politician who has misused taxpayer money and betrayed public trust. The emotional toll of the crisis is evident, with many residents openly calling for her resignation. One resident's blunt comment sums up the frustration. She needs to grow up and step down. Despite the growing pressure, Henyard remains defiant, portraying herself as a warrior battling a corrupt political machine. She continues to deny the accusations against her, insisting that her efforts are solely aimed at serving the community and that the attacks are part of a broader scheme to oust her from office. However, as the controversy deepens and public trust erodes, the future of her leadership and Thornton Township hangs in the balance. The ongoing FBI investigation into Tiffany Henyard has added a layer of uncertainty and fear to an already volatile situation. The probe, which scrutinizes Henyard's personal finances and connections to individuals, including her boyfriend and his family, has intensified questions about her financial dealings. Allegations of lavish spending on luxury trips, questionable purchases, and the mismanagement of her now-defunct burger business have placed Henyard's leadership under a harsh spotlight. Many residents are left wondering if their tax dollars have been misused to benefit a select few rather than the community at large. Political turmoil has spilled beyond government offices and into the streets of Thornton Township, where tension and mistrust now prevail. Town hall meetings are filled with angry residents demanding transparency and accountability, accusing Henyard of ignoring their concerns and using her office for personal gain. Demonstrations have become more frequent, with citizens voicing dissatisfaction over her leadership. The once ununified community now finds itself deeply divided, as factions vie for control and the township's future hangs precariously in the balance. Fueling the discord are allegations of intimidation and misinformation tactics from both sides. Reports suggest Henyard's supporters have tried to silence critics and discourage neighbors from speaking out against her. Meanwhile, her opponents stand accused of spreading misinformation to tarnish her image and rally public sentiment against her. These strategies have created an atmosphere of fear and suspicion, leaving residents hesitant to voice their concerns openly. The result is a politically charged environment where trust has eroded and the community feels increasingly fractured. As this battle intensifies, Thornton Township's future remains uncertain, with residents longing for a resolution that can restore stability and faith in their local government. Thornton Township is deeply divided, with the ongoing political turmoil taking an alarming toll on its residents. In a particularly troubling incident, the main township building was locked and phone lines went unanswered, leaving essential services like assistance with electric and heating bills unavailable. For many low-impact households, these programs are a lifeline, and their disruption has exacerbated the crisis. This incident starkly highlights the real-world consequences of the political infighting that has gripped the community. The looming threat of a government shutdown further raises fears of losing critical programs such as senior assistance and after-school activities, which are vital for thousands of residents. A shutdown would hit the township's most vulnerable members the hardest, deepening an already dire situation. Henyard's insistence that she is fighting a corrupt system has done little to reassure the public. Her refusal to collaborate with opponents or seek common ground has only prolonged the deadlock, pushing the township closer to collapse. The political factions remain locked in an increasingly bitter struggle, with no resolution in sight. The emotional divide within the community has grown wider. Some residents stand firmly by Henyard, while others demand her resignation and call for new leadership that prioritizes the people's needs over personal ambitions. The cancellation of the holiday toy giveaway, an event that would have brought relief to families in need, serves as a poignant reminder of the human cost of this political chaos. Amid the turmoil, it is the residents of Thornton Township who bear the brunt of the fallout. As the township teeters on the brink, the focus must shift from political power struggles to addressing the urgent needs of the community before the damage becomes irreparable. The political infighting in Thornton Township has had a tangible impact on the community, leaving children without holiday gifts and families who depend on community programs uncertain about their future. Allegations of financial mismanagement, including extravagant purchases and a massive budget deficit, have raised serious doubts about Henyard's accountability and commitment to serving the public. Residents are calling for a leader who prioritizes transparency, fiscal responsibility, and the well-being of the people. Instead, Henyard's defiance and refusal to address these concerns have fueled a growing sense of distrust and disillusionment among the public. The situation has devolved into a political spectacle, with Henyard's accusations of conspiracy and manipulation further deepening divisions within the community. Her insistence on being the target of a smear campaign has only exacerbated the conflict, leaving many to question whether she is genuinely fighting for the people or clinging to power at any cost. The lack of effort to find common ground has turned this crisis into an unrelenting standoff that continues to erode public confidence. As the turmoil escalates, Thornton Township finds itself at a crossroads, serving as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the critical need for transparency and accountability in government. The fallout from this political battle could have lasting repercussions, with the community's future hanging precariously in the balance. Whether Henyard's leadership will survive this maelstrom or end in disgrace, paving the way for much-needed change, remains to be seen. One thing is certain: the residents of Thornton Township deserve better than the ongoing political chaos that has overshadowed their lives.